Welcome to the Black Educated Tea Podcast. I'm your host, Makeda Marie, and today we have a special guest with us. We have Miss Donna Hull. Donna is a filmmaker, a writer, a podcaster as well, so fellow podcaster in the house. And her podcast titled IBW, it talks about the multi-generational experiences of Black women from our point of view, because who else can give our point of view but us? And so I can say all of these wonderful things about Donna, but I would like for her to formally introduce herself to you all.
All right, so I'm Donna. I'm with the IBW, which stands for the Inimitable Black Woman. So on my show, because I know inimitable is such a hard word, I'll sometimes go, okay, I'm gonna say it and you repeat after me. Inimitable. And I'll like leave like room of silence. And like my mind, I'm like, someone's in their car going, inimitable. But like I was telling her earlier that the word is difficult, but like its meaning is just so perfect for like how I see Black women. It's like inimitable stands for like one of a kind, unable to duplicate. And it's like, that's who we are. Like each of us are one of a kind. We're unable to be duplicated. We're completely different from each other, yet we're all like united by our Black womanhood. Yes. So yeah, so that's what I do. I am a filmmaker. I am a writer. I am chasing those dreams. I'm pursuing all those creative dreams, and the podcasting kind of fell right into that because of the storytelling aspect. A big theme of IBW is the storytelling, is sharing the stories of Black women of many different ages. It's just being a platform for our voices and our stories to be elevated and to be told in a way that's very nuanced. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. One of the things you asked me, I actually would love to like get into, like before this you were talking about how did this come to be?
Yeah, so I definitely want you to just kind of touch on that. What was the creation for IBW? Because I mean, it's just, for one, it's a really, as you say, the word as well, and it was a struggle for me.
You're not the only one. I have like my best friends that are like, girl, I got your back. I got them back. And I was like, okay, that's not it.
Like, okay. So no, just the word itself, the title. And just, so I really want to know, what was the creation around this whole podcast?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a filmmaker, writer, and that process of being a creative isn't something that's really consistent. It can also be something that's difficult internally to just like focus on like writing and filmmaking. And it was one of those things where I was like, I need to start somewhere, or I need something just consistently being put out there. And I was like, how can I do that in a quick way that touches on the subject matter I want? And it was like, I make my stories for everyone, but specifically to tell the stories of Black women, to put something out there that we can look at and see ourselves in. And podcasts was like, that's easy. I was like, I can podcast. I can get the stuff for that. I already know how to edit things. I can put that out there, and I can start today putting out those stories. So that was the creation of it. It was like, how can I put my feet on the ground telling the stories I want to tell without having all the material, without having everything perfectly in place? Like making a film can take forever. Writing a script can take
there's
forever.
a lot of pieces to it.
A lot of pieces. But like with podcasts, you can get on, like you can hit the ground running. And so it was a way for me to hit the ground running in that avenue. And now it's taking this brand and branching it out to doing event things, branching it out to doing, branding my filmmaking things, like a documentary I'm working on. I brand that with IBW. I did an event right before the pandemic, literally in November. When did the pandemic hit? 2019?
It was, I think it really started to surge in, like, was it January or February of 2020 or March, something like that?
I have no, well, that November before the pandemic.
Okay, maybe it was just getting started then.
Yeah, I had and I was like, this is cool. Like, I want to, do more live events where like people can experience the biggest things, which is, I want you to feel I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel valued, and I want you to feel loved, and I want to create this space for Black women who are in situations, specifically if they're in all white spaces, right? in
Right.
all these spaces that's very stressful, and you don't feel all the time valued like you should be. So I want to give it a space where it's like our voices are heard. I want to give a space for other creatives like me who are maybe someone who, is trying to better themselves or wanting to like
Mhm.
through their art express themselves. Other creators or other women who, for me, like a big thing is mental health in all this, right? I believe
Right.
when you tell your story, it's healthy. It does something for you mentally
It
to
does.
be able to put your story out and to be connected with other people that have been through what you've been through, or other people that hear your story and then they're like, yeah, like that's me too. So to me, it's all about like the mental health aspect of it. Like Black women telling their stories and being heard, I believe is important for our mental health. And I believe we're in so many environments where
Mm.
we're not, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not cared for lack of a better word. We're not cared for like we should
Yes.
be. So I wanted this to be a space where I care for the creatives out there who are wanting to express, who are wanting to tell these stories. I care for the women out there who, grew up and maybe,
Mhm.
were in situations where there were things that now affect their mental health, or just as an adult growing up in America in these white spaces where you feel ignored. So it's like this is supposed to be the place where you know that I see you and I value you, and I want for you to only be able to express fully who you are in whatever way you want to. So
Wow.
that's how it
Wow.
that's how it kind of came to be.
No, that's absolutely, it's needed because a lot of times we don't get to express ourselves. We don't get to tell our stories from our point of views and from our side. You
Yeah.
have other people that try to tell our stories for us, but we're like, no, that's not my story. That's not my experience. That's not what I go through. So the fact that you do get our stories out there and we're telling them ourselves, it makes it even so much wonderful. And you kind of also touched on the unseen. So there was a podcast that you did that I absolutely enjoyed. I listened to it over and over. And it was talking about the struggle of being unseen. And it was just so many things in that podcast that I can resonate with because I often feel like I'm being unseen, whether it's in education when I'm a student or in academia, or if I'm in, corporate or, just so many different realms of life. I feel like I'm being unseen. So was it anything about that particular podcast that touched you in a personal way?
Yeah, I think the whole reason why I wanted to be a filmmaker, why I wanted to put out content, why I went to this podcast, because I felt that way.
Mm,
You know, I think that's a huge thing of it. It's like the reason why this is for you to be seen is because often I feel like we are unseen, right? And it's not that we don't deserve to be seen. It's not that we're not who we are enough to be seen. I think just sometimes because of the way that society works, that the world works, we can be ignored.
yeah.
We can be overlooked, or we could be looked at just someone to use and to get something
Mhm.
out. And I'm basically like, I don't want anything from you but for you to be you. I don't want you to come to me and leave with feeling anything but I am enough.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so so I can relate to that because I have felt that many times. I went to the top film program, went to USC as an undergrad. I was in my class of 50. I was there's one other Black girl who was mixed, but out of the 50, I was the only Black girl other than her.
Wow.
She
Wow.
actually dropped out a year later for other reasons, but it's like have been in these environments where I'm literally surrounded by like all white men, especially in the film industry and stuff like that.
Wow.
And you can often feel like they don't value you as much as they value each other.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that like I wasn't bringing anything to the table. It doesn't mean that I wasn't enough. It just means that the environment I was in was not um acknowledging that. And it
Mm,
sucks,
yeah.
right? Because I think there's this pull, and I have this pull even in what I do of like, standing alone and being like, I don't need that. Who I am is enough. But the reality is I'm also like a human being. I'm also like, I'm sensitive.
Mm,
So those things do affect me. So there's just like this constant, like, I feel like pull with the world, and it's just
wow.
trying to figure out like, for me personally, it's like trying to figure out my space of like where I feel confident, like I am enough. I see myself, and who's supposed to see me will see me. So I'm hoping that that feeling that I felt with in the world and just in life in general of being unseen, being ignored, not being valued, that I can create this space where
Wow.
women actually do feel seen.
Right,
you know.
because we need it, because I have too many conversations with Black women where we often feel like we're being unseen. So we're going to school, we're getting education, and we're putting in the work, and I mean we're doing everything exactly by the book, and we're still being ignored, we're still being unseen, and then we're still not being respected even when we get into these fields as whatever. So no, absolutely, thank you for providing that space. And it's also just made me think about, because I'm working on my dissertation right now, and I wanted to talk about the experiences of Black women in doctoral programs, because you hear about the experience of the white male, and et cetera. So I really wanted to hear our experiences and what we are going through while we're in doctoral programs, or just school in general, because it looks so much different for us when we're in academia compared to others, and we work so much harder to get the grades and just to stay in school and stay focused and get the funding. So it looks so much different for us than it does for so many others. So no, thank you just for creating that space. So I also wanted to just ask you a question, or really, I wanted you to really just give a statement. I know you spoke on burnout in one of your podcast episodes.
And yes.
And yeah, how did you know you had reached that point of burnout? Because I think at times I think I'm almost there, but then I'm still doing 30 other things. So I don't know if I'm quite at the burnout, but I think I may be approaching it. How did you know you reached your burnout moment?
So I'm still in the midst of that. So I had known I had burnt out because I started IBW in 2018, and
Okay.
I'm the type of person that's like, if I'm gonna do this and I have a debt, like I'm not gonna miss my deadlines. And so I did it 3 years straight, basically.
Wow.
Straight, not on time all the time, never did not do an interview, didn't put one out.
Wow.
And I knew I was like burnt out when I had an interview I did, and I couldn't even bring myself to edit it.
Oh, wow.
I just was like, I don't even want to edit this. I like hate this. I hate all of it. I don't want to do anymore. And I was like, I need to step back because I
Mhm.
believe in this brand. And so I don't want to never want to do it again.
Right.
So I was like, I need to step back and take a break and get my brain right or whatever, because if not, then I'll never revisit it. So I'm in right now, it will be a year since I took a break from uploading podcasts this month. And I just thought of that and I was like, wow, it went by so quickly. And so now it's like trying to like be like, okay, well, how are we going to get back in, Donna? Like, how are we going to get back to it? And it's a little bit scary. Because at least when I was doing it before, I knew exactly what I was doing. But now it's like, okay, like we haven't done it in a while. We're kind of out of shape of it.
You're
How
not
do
at
we feel
all.
about
You're
it?
gonna go right back in like you didn't skip a beat at all. Just watch. You're
Jump
gonna go
in?
right back in. Just no
Yeah.
problem.
So I'm trying. I still haven't edited that podcast that I did when I said I couldn't do it anymore. That's wild that it's been a year, but I just couldn't. Like for me, it was like I just can't. Like when I hit like where I was hating everything, I was like, I don't like that because I want to do this again.
Mm.
And also I just couldn't. I literally was like, I can't.
Oh wow. And I'm starting to have those moments. That's why I'm probably on the brink of burnout as well, because I'm starting things that I really just enjoyed doing. It's taking so much on me just to do it right now.
Yeah.
So I think I'm definitely approaching burnout as well. And I'm gonna do as you, and I will give myself as much time as needed to get back into in the stride of things, and to push things forward. But mental health and physical health and all that is way more important. So I definitely, when I reach that point, and I think I'm almost there. Honestly,
I was just like, this is
doing
such a
so many different things, it'll cause it.
I was like, I hate this. And I was like, this is why I did it. Like, why did I do it? And I was like, right now I can't even think clearly on that. I was
Mm.
like, I need a break.
And we are allowed to, because especially as Black women, we do so many different things. We always have the superwoman cape on, and we're doing so many different jobs, and just wearing so many hats in life, that when we break, we need that break. We definitely need that break, because we have earned it, because we have done so many things up to that point, that we need a break, a year or two break. I mean, no
Even
matter how much time you need.
if we didn't earn it, we should just break.
We should just break. We
That's
should
how
just
I'm at now.
break. which
I'm
was
on that
great.
soft life. Like what they call it, the soft life. Have you heard of this?
I have.
Yes, I'm on that soft life. Soft life. Whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Whatever
Just
you need.
because
Okay.
we need it, because we do so much. So no, thank you for that, because I was like, I think I'm on the verge of it. I just wasn't necessarily sure, and I wanted to know how did you handle it once
Oh,
you know you did reach that. So for me, when I reach that point, I will definitely just take a break, and I will take as long as needed. So I want you to definitely just leave us with any closing remarks or any motivation that you can give for anybody that's trying to get into filmmaking and being a writer and being a podcast. What would you leave them with?
um, just do it. Just do it. I would say just do it. Everyone has their own journey of how they get there. Um, Also, like, no one knows what your ending will be.
Mhm.
So, like, if you're doing something different and someone's like, "Oh, well, I never saw that for you," or "I don't think that for you." If that's what you want to do it, even despite that. I've had many a people tell me they didn't see filmmaking for me. They don't see the writing for me. They don't see this, and that for me. And
Mm,
all honesty, that's just their opinion.
it is. Yeah.
It's just their opinion. Even people you love, sometimes they'll have opinion, but in the end, it's their opinion. And if that's what you want to do and pursue, then do it and pursue it.
Just do it, because it's what, and I always say, whatever is near and dear to your heart, you do it, because some people are not meant to understand what it is that you're doing. Some people are not going to get it. Some people are not going to be supportive of it. But if it's something that you really want to do,
Yeah.
I always encourage people to do it. So those are really good words.
Oh,
Just do
one more
it.
thing. And it's never too late.
Never.
Never too late.
I just
As
told my mom that the other day.
long as you have breath in your body, you have time. In the sense of, yeah, as long as you have breath in your body, you have time to do what you want to do. So do it.
Just do it. And you have, and I just told my mom that because I think she really wants to get into another career or another field. I'm like, Mom, just do it. I'm like, any way I can support and I can, help you along the way. I'm like, just do it. I'm like, it's never too late. Don't I always just say you don't want to be the person that coulda, woulda, shoulda. I could have did this, I should have did this, I would have done this. You don't want to be that person. So, like you say, as long as you are here, no matter what it is you want to do, just do it. If you are passionate about something, but then now you want to do something else, whatever your heart's desires to do. So, yeah, thank you so much for leaving that with us. And I want to say thank you again for definitely being a part of the podcast. You have really been such a gem during this interview, and then also of the magnificent work that you do as well. Continue to create these spaces for us where we're able to talk and feel comfortable, and also give our voices, and only in the way that we can. So just continue the work that you're doing. And as always, this is the Black Educated Tea Podcast.